Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bree. Today's video is going to be my fall TBR. So that's going to be everything from September, mid-September when you're seeing this, until December. I have quite a few books here. It's not going to be everything that I will read in that month because I am a mood reader. Some books on this list that are for some videos, and then I have some that are part of my reading my series down. And then I also have some that are book club picks, and then I just have general ones that I hope to get to that are having fall vibes and things like that. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I think we'll start with series that I'm hoping to get through. So I've been trying to read through more of my series because I think I'm in the middle of like 29 different series, which I do think I am going to do a series TBR at some point, but I've decided I want to start making progress to that. So I've made myself a goal to continue this series for reading one book a month. So that is going to be the Shauna Maguire series because they're not too long and I really enjoy them, and so I want to get to them, and the newest one comes out in January. I have to read 3 more of them, so it works out perfectly that October, November, December I'll be reading these. So I still have Come Tumbling Down, Across the Green Grass Fields, and Where the Drowned Girls Go to read, and so I will be prioritizing these. If you don't know what this series is, it's a portal fantasy where children go through different portals and into different worlds, and then some of the books follow them when they've come back to the human world and they're at this school that is supposed to help them reacclimate. And then also we follow some in their portals in their story, and it's just a really fun series by Shauna Maguire. And then I also want to continue by reading European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodore Goss. This is the second in the Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter series. I believe it's called The Extraordinary Tales of the Athena Club is the series name. But I read the first one a couple months ago and really loved it. And so I'm going to be picking this one up really soon. And I'm going to prioritize it. It's been a little bit daunting for me because it's 700 pages. But I really love the series and I really want to continue with it. It's one of my favorite series so far. So definitely want to get to the second one. So that is the plan for that one. And then I've got 2 book club picks for the Literally Dead book club. We've been voting on which one for the November one, but I don't believe she's put up what it is yet. So I only have September and October's pick, and then there's no December pick. And I need to read this really soon because December is rapidly coming to a close. But that is it, The It Girl by Ruth Ware. And really all I know about this is that it's supposed to be very similar to In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which I gave 5 stars, and I think it's just dealing with a girl who is having to confront what happened to her friend in college, and that's really all I want to know about it. I haven't read very many Ruth Wares. I've only read The Woman in Cabin 10, and I thought it was okay. I think I gave it about 4 stars, so I'm hoping this one is better for me. I've heard some mixed reviews, but I have heard that Ruth Ware writes more mystery style than thriller, and I really like mysteries, so I'm hoping that this one will be one for me. So then the next pick is for the October pick, and that is You're Invited by Amanda Jayatisa. It's about this girl who is invited by her friend that she hasn't seen in many years to her wedding in Sri Lanka, and she is going and finds out that her friend is marrying her ex-boyfriend, and so it's very uncomfortable for her, but then her best friend ends up murdered and she is the prime suspect, so I think she's gonna have to figure out what happened to her friend, and it's gonna be at this big wedding event. So I'm really excited to get to this. It gives me dynamics of like In My Dreams I Hold a Knife or the Ruth Ware, but I like the idea of it being at a wedding and having this like trying to solve a murder in kind of like a locked room setting, I think it's gonna be. So yes, I'm really excited to try this one. The next category I think I want to get into is to talk about books that I have planned for some videos. I don't want to give too many away because I want to have some flexibility and also keep some things secret, but I have 2 for reading vlogs I have planned. So the first one is Middle Game by Shauna Maguire. I want to read this for reading my 5-star predictions video, and this is one of the 5-star predictions if you want to go watch that. And this is about, I believe, 2 twins, Roger and Dodger, and they are trying to ascend into godhood. And I don't know much more about it except for that I really like Shauna Maguire's writing. I've heard just such good things about it. It feels very fall to me. I think it's going to be kind of dark academia, which sounds like the perfect time of year to be reading this. I just think I really like Shauna McGuire as a writer, so I think that this is going to be a 5-star for me, and it's just one I've been really excited to get to, so I think I'm going to get to 3 of those books in that reading vlog. The next one is a new release that I have planned for a video, and that is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. So this is supposed to be an Agatha Christie retelling in some ways, I think, like And Then They Were None, but basically this is following Daisy Darker's family, and she invites them for her 80th birthday to her estate, and then I believe she's murdered and people are kind of after her inheritance, and so people start dying and you're trying to figure out who has killed them. And I just really like this for the Agatha Christie retelling, and I'm going to be reading other Agatha Christie retellings or reimaginings in this reading vlog, so I thought this was the perfect time to do it since this one was coming out and it's one of my most anticipated releases for this year, because I just love anything And Then There Were None. While they don't always live up, in my opinion, to the Agatha Christie book, I just love to see how they are doing it, and I've only heard good reviews about this so far, so I have high hopes for it. And now onto my stack of just fall/spooky vibes that I want to get to for this last part of the year. I think this is when I'm really in my most spooky genre reading, so I have a lot I'm excited to get to. So the first one is going to be like a cozy fall witchy vibe, and that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. And I've heard a lot of people talking about this, and I've heard it basically, someone described it as the House in the Cerulean Sea but witches, and I was like, I'm sold. I am completely there because I love the House in the Cerulean Sea, and if you give me witches, I'm gonna want to pick it up. Basically, it's this woman is online, she pretends to be a witch, but she really is a witch, but she pretends online thinking no one's gonna take her seriously. And someone does, and then they ask her to go to this house and train 3 witches, and while she's there, she meets a grumpy librarian, so I think there's going to be a little bit of a grumpy sunshine romance, which I'm here for. And yeah, I think it's going to have some found family vibes, which if you've watched my channel, you know I'm all about. So I can't wait to get to this one. As soon as people explained House in the Cerulean Sea meets witches, I had to go pick it up, so I will be reading this very soon. The next book I picked up is The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. I think this is more of a horror, at least it was in the horror section, but this is following a woman who is commissioned to paint a mural of this lighthouse in Scotland, and she takes her and her daughters there to do it, and while she's there, one of the daughters goes missing, and she learns that there was a prison for witches there, and then I think it jumps to 20 years later, and one of the daughters is trying to figure out what happened to her family, her mom and the rest of her sisters, and it just starts to unravel from there. And when her youngest sister is found, but she's still the age she was when she went missing, and so she's trying to figure out what happened on this island. So I just think that this sounds so good, and when I heard it, I can't remember who I heard it from describing it, I just knew it was going to be something for me because again, I love witches, especially in the fall time. Next book I want to pick up more in when it starts to get colder in the wintry time, so probably December. But that is Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wabeshig Rice. And this is basically a thriller or a horror, I believe. No, it's a horror. And it's following a community of Anishinaabe people, and basically it's the apocalypse, and they're all, I believe it's like snowed in, and they're losing resources and have to work together as a community to get through this apocalypse. And it's basically like what happens to a community when it's hit by the apocalypse, and it's really short, and I've just heard good reviews on it, and I think it sounds really, really interesting, and like the kind of horror I think I could really get into. And so I picked this up for those like probably like December time when it's starting to get really cold out. I think this will be the perfect kind of horror for me. Now the next one I think would be perfect for Halloween time, and it is a horror. It's a new release, and it's called The Hacienda by Isabel Canas. So this is supposed to be like Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca. I haven't read Mexican Gothic, but I have read Rebecca back in the day, and I really like Gothic kind of stories, and I just think that the reviews I've heard of people who didn't love it were all reasons why I think I would love it. And so I'm very intrigued because I think some people love it and some people haven't really liked it, but again, everything that I've heard for the dislike has been reasons that I think I will like it, so I have high hopes for it. But this is following a woman who, I believe she gets married and then she goes off to her husband's estate, and then some weird things start going down, and I believe she thinks that the place that they're living is haunted. And I also think she has the help of a priest in town who's going to help her, so I think there could be like demons or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it sounds really good for a Gothic story, perfect for like October, Halloween time. The next one is an anticipated release, one of my most anticipated releases of the year. That's The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and I knew immediately that I had to pick this up when it came out because I gave In My Dreams I Hold a Knife 5 stars, and it was one of my favorite books so far this year. This is out now, so I'm gonna have to read it. And I think this is gonna be darker. This is basically following a cult, and I believe there's a lot to do with like violence against women. So while I don't typically like to read something like that, I just have to give this a try. I like cult stuff as well. I've heard it's dark, so I'm preparing myself going in, but I'm excited to just read another Ashley Winstead because I love her writing. And I believe this is about a woman who is going, and her and her friends like were in this cult when she was in college, and now she's trying to disband the cult, I believe. So I believe one of her friends is killed, and her friend is like a podcaster, so I think there's going to be podcast elements in this. And she wants to figure out what happened to her because she believes it's tied to this cult that they were in years prior. And so I think that there'll probably be dual timelines in this as well, which is something I really enjoyed about In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. And it's also just something I enjoy reading in general. I like dual timelines, so I cannot wait to pick this one up. This one will also be like an October read for me, I think. And then this one was a recent pickup. I'm not a huge reader of Stephen King, but this one just sounds so good. It's his new release, Fairy Tale. For Stephen King, I've read only Salem's Lot, and I have a couple others on my TBR that I should probably get to before this one, but this one seems like the one that's the most likely to be something I enjoy. I heard from my sister-in-law that the bookseller we both like to go to in Michigan, he was raving about this book, and he said he's not a huge Stephen King fan, but he really, really likes this one. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. It's basically, I believe, about a boy who inherits this mansion, and he has a dog companion. And in this mansion, there's a portal to other worlds, but those other worlds could bring about the destruction of our world, and him and his dog have to try to like save it. And it basically says that it's a magnificent and terrifying tale in which good is pitted against overwhelming evil, and a heroic boy and his dog must lead the battle. And it just says it's about a 17-year-old boy who inherits the keys to a parallel world where good and evil are at war, and the stakes cannot be higher for that world or ours. So I just think it's going to be that perfect horror fantasy that I'm looking for. And even though it's kind of a chunker, I just really am excited to get to this one. And I've heard, again, good reviews on it. So there's that. So these are not all of the books I hope to get to in the next few months, but they are the ones that I'm prioritizing the most. I will probably read more than this, but I just wanted to give you a nice little TBR video of what I'm looking forward to in the next couple months. Let me know what's on your fall TBR. I would love to know what kind of fall books you're reading, and if you have any like witchy kind of books, even if it's cozy or it's more spooky, I would love to know because I'm always in the market for a new witchy book. Those are all the books, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.